How's it going, everybody? Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to try to make this as quick and painless as possible. This video is about split filtering, and split filtering is a way to control the different spectrums, tonal spectrum across your images. Now, the way that works is if you look on your RC paper box, you will see that it says multi-grade. Multi-grade suggests that basically you can print with any type of filter on that paper. But it wasn't always that way. At times, if you had an image that had a lot of contrast, then you'd have to print on grade 4 paper or grade 5 paper. Now we don't have to do that, but what that allows us to do now is to target specific parts of that still through split filtering. So 5 is gonna give you a measurement for your shadows, and then 0 will largely work on your highlights. So what we do is we're going to start off having two different, what do you call it? I don't know, I'm at a loss for words. Two different test strips. So we're going to have a test strip for our highlights and a test strip for our shadows. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put this 0 filter into my filter holder, right, into my enlarger, and I'm going to start there. I'm going to go and I'm going to cut my sheets and have a test strip. So then first I'm going to do 0, and then I'm going to do 5. And so when I'm going to have two different times. I'm going to have a time for 0, and I'm going to have a time for 5, and then I'm going to combine those two times using each filter on the same sheet of paper. So again, I hope that this makes sense. We are going to use the same image that I did for the dodging and burning demo. This is done in the same day, so hopefully there's some continuity, and we're also thinking about that. The other thing that I want to say is if you need to dodge and burn, then you do that on the 0 filter and not the 5. So that's really important. So if you want to burn, then you burn on 0, and then you can still add that time, right? So you still go with 0, 5, and then you burn. If you have any questions, then just let me know about that so I can help you. But like I said, you always burn on 0. So you make your entire image and then burn on 0. If you need to dodge, then you dodge on 0. And that makes sense because usually when you dodge, you're dodging on your 0 usually control the midtones and the highlights. So usually you should be good by using that method. So I've got test strips. I'm going to turn out these lights, and I'm going to run both my test strips across, and then we'll go out in the hallway and show what they look like. It may be kind of hard to see, but what I really want to do is I want to be able to show you how to switch both of these on this first one. So I'm going to leave it running. Leave the video running. Hopefully you can see what's happening in the dark, and then I'll see you outside after that. All right. One of the things that I didn't explain that I need to explain right now is that you need to have two different test strips. Yes, I explained that, but you also need to evaluate where your white and where your highlights and your shadows are. So in this particular image, I'm going to be looking out for my highlights here on the background, and then I'm also going to be looking out for my shadows in the shirt, in this jacket. So I'm still going to go across here just so that I can check on my so I can check on my midtones and my highlights. But then I may try to make sure I get a little bit of light right here, so that I can make sure that Make sure I have my test strip across here because this is pretty bright, and so I want to make sure that I bring this down the way that I'd like to. So I just wanted to let you know about that. So you're gonna have to be thinking about where your shadows and your highlights register in the image, not just trying to get all of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off on my highlight. Remember, my zero filter is in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go across this image in a way so that that I can register the highlights. And so I think that this is a pretty big test strip. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to go across here, and there's some highlights here, and that's where I'll register those. So I'm going a different way on this particular image. So here we go. Hopefully you can still see. Alright, so that's my zero filter. I'm going to take my zero filter out. I'm also going to take my zero test strip out. Put this under here. And now I'm going to do my shadows. My shadows, I'm really thinking about this coat. And so I want to make sure that it's along the edge of this coat and this shirt. Now, one of the tricky things is that you can forget to take that filter out. Try not to. That's the best I can tell you. The shadows tend to be much shorter, so I am somewhat concerned about this first test strip because I'm doing increments of 5 seconds when it may actually be increments of 1. That may be more needed. And as a matter of fact, I think I will do. I'm gonna do a test strip for 1 second as well. And this is going to be my 1 second test strip for my shadows. So I'll be back. What we're going to do, I'm going to do all 3 test strips and we'll meet in the hallway. All right, so this is kind of, hopefully you can see that. So there are a couple of things to think about. One is that the print that we did last time, we just printed on 0 with this one. And I'll tell you, like, honestly, that print was just not long enough. So let's look at this. This is on 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? So we've got, well, I don't know if I trust this, right? So let's go 5, 10, 15, 20. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 on 0. Okay. This is a little too dark. Although I do like the shadows coming in the hair. So 5, 10, 15. And so then this will be 20. Okay. So 20 on 0. And then we have these small strips down here. So I believe this was the 1 strip for 1 second. So this is 1, 2, and then 3 seconds. I don't have too much of a problem with it. It seems like it goes to dark right here. So I will try 3 seconds. So what this means is that on 0, it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay. And then 3 seconds. So 23 seconds overall, but we're going to go with 20 seconds on 0 and then 3 seconds on 3 seconds on 5, right? So again, 20 seconds on 0, 3 seconds on filter 5. So let's see how this stacks up after we get this out. All right, we'll leave that there. And then I'll see you in a second. All right, so I just got this one back. This was, this one is a little darker than I wanted, honestly. And so I need to bring my highlights down a little bit, and I think that this would probably bring the shadows about where I want. I mean the highlights where I want, and the overall contrast. So what I'm gonna do is my highlights, bring this down. So my highlights are at, I did intervals of 5 seconds, right? 5, 10, 15, 20. And I decided on 20. So I'm gonna come back off of 20 and I'm gonna go to around 17. All right. 17 is gonna probably make the skin a little bit brighter. And that's not what I want. I really want these highlights, right? There are a few different things I could do. I could say that I'm okay with that and dodge around. That's too much work, and we really don't want to start off that way because I feel like this print isn't universally where it needs to be. So I'm gonna go 5, 10, 15, right? And then 17 is somewhere. I almost like 15. I actually may go to 16. So I'm gonna do 16 on 0 and then still remain 3 at 3 on 5 filter. Okay? All right, I'll be right back. All right, so got a couple things here. So this is the newest one, and I almost went all the way back up. This is a variation of this one, which is 19 and 3. I like the shadows here, but I like the highlights a little bit more in this one. There are some things that interest me in this one. If we could just look at this strap, I feel has a little bit more separation in this one, and I appreciate that. So, you know, it's important to look at these and to consider what the differences are. I do want to kind of point out a couple things. One is there was something on there. I must have had perhaps some fix on my hand. Make sure you use the tongs, because then it'll stop some things from developing. So this didn't develop there, and I'm glad that that wasn't a final print, because that would have been bad. I would have just had to scrap it. So also, if I'm looking in the hair, this hair is darker, but I also feel like I finally get the shadows in this back part here. So, you know, there's some decisions to make. I think on the one hand, I like the depth of the shadows on these, but then on the other hand, the highlights I feel could have a little bit more highlights. So I could of course dodge here, but I'm also just concerned about the tones on the face. This one kind of bothers me. So what I think I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna make a whole print on 20 and on 0 at 20. So this is basically this image. 20 on 0 filter, and then 3 on 5. And then so my overall exposure would be 23 seconds. You know, I still wonder. So the thing we have to understand is trade-offs, right? You don't want to go down too low to where, say for instance, if I made my time on my 0 filter 15, I wouldn't want to do that, because if I did that, I would lose too much overall time, right? So what I think I'm going to do is, I think I might, after all, this is as I kind of work in real time. You know, honestly, I think I do like this one a little bit more. So this is 19 and 3. So let's see what 19 and 3 looks like, how it looks. And I think it has more variations in the skin tone, even though overall I don't like how bright the skin tone is. But there's some weird stuff that I'm seeing, in the sense that sometimes photographs have a way of kind of telling you that the scene was somewhat different than I remembered it, because the face is bright and then the neck gets dark. I still think that this one might be it, but I also think that this one is going to dry down, and it may have a little bit more. If you look at the necklace is brighter. So I like that. I think, you know, this is more of how reflection was. And then also in the background. So I'm gonna go, this is 19 and 3. I almost wanna go on 4. So I'm also thinking about, what if I took that 19 and then put that 19, took that extra second and put that extra second on my 5 filter. So actually, let's do that, right? I don't want to lose anything. So our initial reading was 20 on 0 and then 3 on 5. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 19 on 0 and 4 on 5. Let's see what happens. All right, see you in a second. All right, so got a few of these. This is my last image, and I think I'm pretty good with it, actually. After looking at it all, I think, you know, perhaps there's some local adjustments. Perhaps I can burn around here if I wanted this to be more uniform. I think this actually may be more true to life. I almost feel like I could go in and maybe add a little bit more on 5 as far as the shadows, but you know, it looks pretty good to me. I think 5 would have made excuse me, a little bit more of the difference in the hair, because there's some gray here, so I feel like 5 would have kind of brought that detail out. But overall, I feel like I'm really close to it, and this is really, really nice. And again, what I ended up doing, my overall time, was actually at the end, I took a half a second off. So it was 19 on 0 and then 3.5 on 5. So yeah, that's how it ended up being. I like the print. I encourage you to split filter when you can, especially on some of those images that have a lot of contrast. You'll see the difference. Also, if we look at some of these, we can see the variation across some of them, you know, that there is a huge difference in how we might feel, how we might want prints to come out, based off of what we're trying to express. So please be cognizant of that. Remember too, just from a technical standpoint, if you've got that 0 and 5, well, actually what I'll do is I'll just bring you over to the enlarger so we can talk about it and debrief with the lights on the technique one more time, and then everything should be I think good from there. So anyway, thanks. See you in a second.